So yeah, welcome to the an episode of Huge Update interviews with my guest today, which is Eric Mike, creator
Mac.
of Doko Roko. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Eric Mack. Thanks.
Eric Mack. Oh, don't say I said Eric Mike.
Eric Mike. Eric Microphone.
Oh, so yeah. So I just want to quickly start off this conversation, just for I'm gonna say this because this is our second time doing this for just for actual reasons. We recorded this yesterday. It went kind of wrong, so we're having to do it again. So if we're feeling a bit awkward, it's just because we've made jokes before, or it's a bit, I don't know. Doing a second interview is kind of weird, but it sometimes does happen.
At least you're being honest that this is the second interview, because otherwise people would just be like, "What?"
Yeah, but I just want to get that out of the way. Just a little disclaimer about this interview, because I really do want to make this interview a thing because I want to get Doko Roko out there for a lot more people to see. But again, I don't feel like I have to because as I'm going to start this interview off with, you already seem to be doing a pretty good job with your GIFs on Twitter, and every Saturday a new GIF comes out and it's always you and a few others, but it's you've definitely been getting a lot more attention over the upcoming weeks, and people have been especially asking more questions what is this, and just this looks really cool, and you've definitely seem to be eating it up a bit more, haven't you?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's funny though because there's so much stuff on Twitter. I think a big part of it is consistency, actually, that I've been able to post stuff week after week, and you kind of get a name going for yourself. So yeah, that's right. There are a couple big names on Screenshot Saturday that crop up all the time, and there's Megasphere is always there, and I always see Among the Woods is always up there. But yeah, it seems to be getting me a little bit of attention, which is really cool. I haven't actually tried any other platforms, any other media platforms to try to gain attention, but for now Twitter has been a really good way to gain followers and
Yeah,
get people interested in it.
Yeah, for now, from my perspective over the last, of seeing what's been going on over on Twitter, especially for indie devs, it seems a lot more friendlier approach because of just there is the Saturday screenshot, and there is the strong level of community of you just need to put out a quick little post and just hashtag it with either indie dev or game dev, and it'll get picked up by 20 bots automatically, because
Yeah.
I will do that on a whim.
I love those bots.
Yeah, I'll just do that on a whim. It's just had a nice sandwich, indie dev / game dev, and just that'll just go out, and I'll just get 20 faves. I'll just get 20 retweets on it. It's just I feel good about myself now.
Yeah, it's a good way to boost your confidence if you got a game going.
Yeah. And those things even though the bots that thing definitely must be helping, because you, especially for you, because it's your game's been getting more and more attention, especially from other websites as well. Smaller websites are starting to pick up on the trends of the Saturday screenshot, and definitely being carrying your name, and you said in Amongst the Woods and Megasphere have been being picked up by Indie Haven, and Destructoid have probably put out a little article, and Kotaku probably has recently just done another hot GIFs of Twitter, or hot GIFs of best game ever coming out soon type
Hot
stuff.
steamy GIFs.
Yeah,
Yes.
hot steamy GIFs. Cause
Yeah, I got on Destructoid actually a month ago, and I was super stoked about that. It was awesome.
Yeah. And it is just and especially because when you see when you see your GIFs, because they're 2 seconds long, and it's filled, but it's yet especially with yours, it's filled with so much animation, isn't it? You've got not only do you have your character, but you have so much interaction with the background, in terms of secondary animation going on. And anytime you see a sword, something really cool is about to happen, because one, it's 20 times the size of your character, and two, when the swing happens, you got that real cool little screen shake going on.
Oh yeah. I'm a big fan of like game feel and stuff, and like I just want to talk a little bit about like just like the method of like delivering media through Twitter, but like actually like making GIFs actually becomes like an art form in and of itself, because you're right, you're trying to like squeeze all this content into like 2 seconds, so you want to get like all the best parts of it, and it's actually been kind of like tricky. So I kind of like look at like, I don't know, like you see like these like YouTube advertisements or whatever now, and they try to like, you can like skip those ads after like 5 seconds, right? So you gotta grab people within 5 seconds or they're not gonna really care about it, which is like, it's cool that GIFs can deliver that kind of like immediate glimpse into what the game is. But yeah, so I just try to cram as much action as I can into each shot.
Yeah, like you're saying, this. Well, that's how do you actually create the GIFs? Is it through Photoshop, or do you use like a GIF editor?
Yeah,
out of curiosity.
I use this app for Mac called GIF Grabber, and that's a really good one that I'd recommend. And you set it to 3 times HD, and it captures this like buttery smooth 60 frames per second GIF stuff. And then usually I'll go to like easygif.com to optimize it so that it puts like fewer colors in your GIF, so the file size is smaller. There's so much like intricacy in actually like making a GIF for Twitter, because you have to make it smaller than 3 megabytes. So like you wouldn't like understand how much actually goes into making it, because you have to like cram it under this file size, and so like there's like so much just like trimming of the GIF and just like making sure it's like the best kind of shot of everything. It's really weird, but it's fun.
It's completely fine. I understand, because I used to make GIFs, and I got into the routine of using Photoshop to make GIFs. So I would use Premiere to like create a film, and I would have my footage there, and I would like select like 20 frames of animation to then like frame shot each one, to then dump them into Photoshop, to then line them up in an animation line, and then I'd have to be really selective. It's just like, oh, that's too many frames. So let's cut out these sections here, like frame by frame. I'd have to go through it and just like edit very slowly. It's the way you do it is way easier than how like how some people do it.
But like, I don't know, GIFs are just like an awful form. Like I love them, but like GIFs are just like an awful form of like file type. It's just like it's so outdated and it's so old, and there needs to be something new that can like cram more data into a smaller space, I think. Like I don't know why that doesn't exist yet.
Have you heard of WebMs?
WebMs? Is it the new thing?
It is kind of like the new thing. It's kind of like WebMs are essentially just videos, but they can just be directly, like as an image, they can just be put there. So you can like pretty much just put this image and it'll just play like a whole like episode of like 20-minute long footage. No problem. It kills your like CPU, because like if you have like 20 of them on a page, because like Reddit's been like messing around with them for like the past like couple of, oh god, I think it's like for around about the last few months now, maybe like 6 months these things have been around. But like if you go on a page of just like full of WebMs, it'll just like kill your computer, because it's like too much. But it's slowly getting there. Like it's like the early adopters are there messing with it, and like probably in the next 2 years the like easy to drop it, like the drop in drop out apps will probably start coming out for it.
I hope so.
So when that happens, Tumblr will have its second coming.
Yes.
I believe. Because like you say, like Twitter has been your main form of social media, but have you looked at something like Tumblr, or have you looked at?
I've dipped into Tumblr, but like Tumblr's cap on the GIFs as well is even smaller than Twitter's. You can only have one that's like 2 megabytes.
Yeah.
So I can't even fit the ones that I want to do on Tumblr. And like it seems like Tumblr's. The thing about Twitter though is that like you get like instant feedback from actual creators, and you can tell they're being genuine when they actually like your stuff. And then kind of on Tumblr, it's more like anonymous, and it's like, where did this GIF come from? It just kind of like sprang from the bosom of the internet, and now it's here in front of me. And that people don't really consider as much where their content came from compared to Twitter, you know. So it's like harder to kind of link a source to a GIF or whatever. So
Yeah, and
maybe I'd get more recognition. Maybe I wouldn't. I don't know.
yeah, I think you probably got the right idea of trying to keep everything sourced to you. You don't want other people taking the glory, as it were. Especially for like, you know, this game is still in development and you're wanting to get as many people behind you as possible, I suppose.
Yeah.
and and like from that, like let's get on to like just like actually let's talk a bit more about your animation, because it is something that's really interesting, because it's not in the true retro style of like how the NES or like maybe actually a bit more like blast processing, because I do believe you mentioned in previous interviews that you use half pixels to do most of your animation.
Yeah, this is like I mentioned this in like the last interview I did, but it's like a really kind of stupid way that I did the animation, because I just started out and I wasn't really clear on like just putting the like the GIF sheets or like the PNG sheets of your animations,
Yeah.
and then like upping the resolution, like doubling the resolution or whatever, to make each, like it would seem like each pixel would seem like it took up like a 2x2 pixel space, and so each pixel could only move like 2 pixels at a time or whatever. But the way I did it is I enlarged all the assets to start with, so the resolution is the same, but all the assets are 2 times larger than the originals. So what it actually looks like is like stylistically, like the pixels are moving half a pixel. I'm not explaining this very well, and it's kind of like abstract.
You've doubled everything up, so when it like, because it's resolution, the resolution is different. It looks like it's a lot more smoother. It kind of like the way that you've kind of described it, it's kind of like how like old anime, like Japanese animation, would kind of like look so butter smooth, is because they would do a lot of half animation. In a way, like they would like double when they would like create their like sheets, they would just basically in editing they would just double up the speed so it looked better.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I might mess around with actually lowering or like just doing it like the normal way and then like doubling the resolution, because I'm not sure if it actually looks better. It kind of looks kind of weird sometimes when it's going, because it looks like too smooth, and you're not used to it because it's like pixel animation and you're used to this like kind of like chunky movement speed. So I don't know. I'll mess around with it and see what looks best. But yeah.
Cause that's something like I've been finding like a lot more interesting in like the recent years of like, especially within like indie devs using pixel art. It's a very clear distinction of like a move away from the retro like trappings, as they were, like they're like just the animation and like color, especially color is another one of just like the retro generation could only reach a certain amount of color, while now we have so much range and we can definitely put a lot more animation and color and a lot more vibrancy, and it seems like people have definitely moved that way. And and by the sounds of it, it's definitely something you've taken as more of an approach of like not being so heavily restricted by the retro understanding and just moving into basically just playing with what pixels can do now. Would that be the case?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, it's kind of funny though, because like when I first started, it's like, oh, there's no limitations. I can just really just do whatever I want, kind of, with this pixel art. But you kind of see that limitations can often lend a coherency to an aesthetic that's not possible if you just kind of go off on your own and do whatever. So I'm kind of trying to rein it in with the later stuff that I'm doing and try to use fewer colors and kind of just like, I don't know. Yeah, I just use like fewer colors and I try to make things a little bit simpler for myself because I think it looks better if it kind of maintains that like color coherency and kind of like animation coherency and stuff is kind of like moving at the same animation speed because otherwise it can look just like all over the place sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it definitely seems like as you're going through this project, or going through this game development, it definitely seems like you like you haven't you're definitely like creating a lot of what would be considered to be like the pre-production of it on the fly. And is that definitely just like the way you like to work? Is that just something you've always done in like previous projects or something?
Yeah, it's kind of funny though because like I don't really have like a deadline right now, and I'm not working with anyone else, so I can kind of just do whatever I want right now and kind of indulge my own morbid self-interests, like how clouds look and how like fire particles move, and just like how you land and how that feels to like land and then like do like a roll afterwards and like have like dust particles kick up. So that's kind of the stuff that I'm really interested more so than like actual like game systems and stuff. And I think it's actually like really cool. I mean like I like that I've kind of taken the liberty to do those kinds of things because it starts to separate my game from what everyone else is doing and kind of like the typical way someone might approach a game if they had a deadline and they wanted to incorporate all these systems. I'm just kind of like flying by the seat of my pants, and that starts to work because I'm more interested in the work that I'm doing now because I can just do whatever. So it turns out better, I think, when you're really interested in the work that you're doing.
Yeah,
right?
kind of like, well, pretty much as the phrase is, a labor of love kind of is what it is. It's a labor, but it's something you appreciate and it's something that you're willing to put the time in for. And that definitely seems to be the case, especially with you as an example and somebody like Megasphere, who like was on pretty much in the same boat until he decided to, on a whim a few months ago, open up for funding, in which he got so much funding he went, I should make this game, hey? And then everyone was like, yeah, you should. And he was like, I'll get on that. But maybe I'll dick around some more.
It's fun to dick around. That's the best part.
and it's refreshing, especially for someone like in my position. It's definitely more refreshing to see like developers, especially in the indie space, using it as it should be used instead of like trying to keep these incredibly like tight deadlines and like keep to a budget. Just like, well, actually, this can be a little pet project that you can invest a lot of time into. You can see like put way more effort into like the little tiny things and make it what you as more of a creator want to actually make, instead of just making a game to kick out and then just make the monies.
Yeah, and like I was listening to an interview or a lecture that Jonathan Blow is giving, the guy who made Braid, and he was talking about like creativity, and he was just like the thing that kills creativity is deadlines, because if you try to make creativity happen on a deadline, it just doesn't work. You need to be in a relaxed state of mind, and you need to like not be swayed by public opinion, and you kind of need to. I mean, like I've been working kind of in a vacuum. Kind of. I mean, like I've been like releasing my content to people, and I'm getting reactions, and I'm getting like some criticism and stuff. But like,
but it's a lot more smaller than what like showing like actual peers or work colleagues. You in the best way possible. You very much as an artist at the moment, because you're in your studio. You're just polishing what you've got, and you're showing it very small segments of it, and you're taking that very small feedback, and it may be helpful, it may not, because again, like the bigger picture is all safe in your studio that only you know about.
Yeah.
And because I've definitely heard and seen that talk by Jonathan Blow, and it is very true, because anybody I've spoken to who, who comes from this, indie space have pretty much all almost said the same thing. As I've definitely seen other people who've tried going the other way of trying to make it a business.
Yeah.
And it definitely seems... Sorry, yeah?
Sorry, you go.
Oh, sorry. Like, those who try and make it like, wow, we're going to make a game within this amount of time and then we'll move on to the next project. And it's just like, are you guys indie? Like, is this our new discussion about, like, this space in which, like, small games being made? Is that indie, or is that just, like, low-end, I don't know, like, middleware games or stuff? Because, like, right now it seems to be in, like, the small development side of making video games seems to be in a very odd space. Especially with, like, you guys, because, like, when Jonathan Blow made pretty much his only game to date, I know The Witness is about to come out, hopefully.
Oh, he made others before he made Braid, but yeah, Braid is like the most like critically acclaimed.
Was it little small ones? I thought he just mainly did talks. Was it talks that he normally did? Oh,
well, he made other games before Braid, though. That's just what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it's all right. No, it's okay. But yeah, like when like Braid came out and then like Super Meat Boy followed on afterwards, it's like this is what people consider it to be, like what indie seems to be. But it's definitely seemed to have moved a lot further away from that, because like now, like more game jams have popped up. Like really like obscure little projects have like just crept out of the woodworks out of like left field, like out of nowhere someone's become so huge overnight, like Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, as a creator, like, is like this explosion and like decompression like something like you look forward to? Is it something that you think like you could predict, or is it just something that you're not too bothered about and what happens when you happen?
Yeah, I'm kind of like it's funny that you like mentioned like people like kind of like just doing things for your audience has always been like a problem for me, because when you start getting to do it for the money, it starts to seem like kind of disingenuous to me. Like you're making, I mean, like obviously like a video game, it doesn't have to be a product, but eventually it becomes a product and you need to figure out a way to make money with it so you can keep doing it. Like that's kind of like, that's what capitalism does to us or whatever. But like when you start doing it for the money and you start doing it to please an audience, you're not gonna be, I don't know, just like what I think is that like you're not doing anything new really. You're doing what your audience wants, and if your audience is primarily gamers, their vocabulary is going to consist of other games that they've played and other systems and games that they've played, and that's kind of like the reference point for what a game should be. And so now everyone wants like survival Minecraft horror with free roaming and a horde mode, and you just get all these like derivative games of this type because they think it's going to appeal to this certain person who likes all these other things. And I just find that it's so much more interesting when you have these small products of people who are just like, I don't really give a fuck what anyone thinks. I'm just going to make this like weird like sheep herding sim, or I'm going to make Soda Drinker Pro or whatever. And then that turns out to be like a really like kind of really popular cult thing. And it's just like, how did that happen? Like that guy knew he wanted to make Soda. Have you seen that?
I've seen it because he got like an investment by Cards Against Humanity's.
Oh, really?
Correctly. Yeah, he showed it off at PAX East. I think it was like the first PAX East he showed it off, and just the guys at Cards Against Humanity's are local to that area. They just went down, they saw it, and they just went, you know what, this is so funny, I'm just going to pay for this.
Yeah.
And just like, thanks.
I met the guy at Play Crafting Boston. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know Yeah, I met him there, and he's just like the nicest guy. And I was just like, I can tell he was doing this for all the right reasons. It's just like, it's beautiful. It is a labor of love.
Yeah.
He's just, it's so funny. I love that.
So obviously with that little discussion about everything about the art, the animation, I guess we should actually talk a bit more actually about what the game is.
Yeah.
Seeing how we haven't even talked about Doko Roko that much.
Yeah, I try to avoid talking about my game as much as I can in interviews. That's
trying to keep it hidden, keep it safe.
Yeah. So Doko Roko is a roguelike vertical platformer focused on lightning fast combat, huge swords, strange magics, and it's kind of based in this dark occult fantasy world. And so, like, the basic story is that, and I'm not going to give away like anything because story is stupid, but to give away, that is. But you've been banished to a tower for reasons unknown, and you've been exiled from your community and put in this strange place that has these strange demon folk that live there and inhabit this tower. And they're kind of going about their daily lives, and you need to find out why you're there and why you've been banished and what's at the top of the tower.
Yeah. So, and so I just listened to that. I was like, I don't think I've actually heard that before. You actually talk about the story.
Yeah, that's all I give away about the story.
Like, normally, because I have listened to your other interviews and I've read your devlogs, and it's just like you've been really candid about it. I think that's the first time I've actually heard it more in bullet point form. It's just like, huh, okay. Now I know how to actually sell this game to other people now. It's like, no, when I talk to other people, it's like, oh, you should check out this game, Doko Roko. It's like, oh, what is it? Well, you're a midget in a hoodie running around with 20-foot swords. Oh. Oh, right. But
yeah,
talking about like dark occult stuff and all that, what like led the like inspiration, both it's like the generation of your world, because like something else that's come out like quite prevalently in like the GIFs that you've shown and the art shots and the assets that you've shown is like it's got a very strong. The world seems to have a very strong base of what you want it to be, and I was just wondering what actually has inspired you to create such a world as Doko Roko.
Yeah. So to start off, I don't feel very inspired by a lot of video games. Like I am inspired by like a lot of the mechanics and stuff in video games and the art styles, and like I've copped like pixel art style, and that's kind of like what I'm using to tell the story of this world, kind of. But I think I'm primarily interested actually by like it's like weird, but I'm just inspired by like photos a lot of the time. Like I'll be on Tumblr and just be like researching like history blogs and different just like pictures of like landscapes, and just like I just feel like light and light interacting with an environment can just like displays like so much mood and so much atmosphere when different colors can play with an atmosphere. And there's like I read this really good article on Gama Sutra talking about color recently, and it was saying how like you could have the same kind of objective environment and just change the lighting, and that can have such like a psychological effect on your mood and how you're feeling. And I was just like really interested in that, and kind of ways that you can lead a person's emotions and kind of lead what they're thinking by this. And yeah, so I'm also interested in a lot by like the occult and just how weird and strange these rituals that they had. Like I was reading about this oh god, I'm gonna forget what it's called, but it's called like a dead man's fist or something, and it's like said to like, I'm not sure if it like grants you wishes or if it like keeps away demons or something, but there was just like so many weird things that they did. Like you would have to like cut off like a man's hand who was hanged at the gallows, and then soak this man's hand in urine for 3 days, and then like put it in like sulfur and then like hang it above a church door for 3 days and then like sit there each night like with the hand. And then if you were still alive at the end of this like weird process, you could keep the hand and do whatever you wanted. And it's just like I'm so interested in like where these weird kind of fables and these myths came from, and like what kind of logical path these people took to arrive at these explanations for what they were seeing. And so yeah.
Yeah, hey,
it's kind of weird, but
I've got one, because I remember reading this. This was an article in a very old film magazine years and years ago for the film Hellsing. The magazine decided to like write up a report on vampires and just write up the numerous ways in which you can kill them.
Yeah.
Right. And like it obviously had like the classics. It like had like garlic, stake through the heart, silver, sunlight, and all this, holy water, and all this. And then it got to one that just baffled the hell out of me. And it's just like, who thought this would work? And so what it was steal the left sock of the said vampire, run to the south ending river of your village, throw it in, and when it gets to sea, the vampire will be slain. It's like, what?
I love that shit so much.
Work?
It's so specific. like, and that, yeah, what?
So it's just like, because I know from like reading other like historic like documents like about like myths, legends, and stuff like that. Like level of like detail was just so prevalent.
Yeah,
for like unknown reasons. It's just like, if you like, did they believe that it was like, with all this attention that I'm putting in, with all these steps I'm having to take, surely it will solve my problem.
Yeah, and isn't that kind of the same thing? Like, I'm drawing a parallel right now here, but isn't that kind of same weird specific sequence of events, kind of like weird video games like Druaga, like the Tower of I think it's called Druaga. Yeah, or like Super Mario Bros. 3, where you have to crouch on a white block and then hit like down, or I don't know, I'm not sure the sequence of commands that you have to press. But then you go to like a secret warp zone or something. You find like the warp whistles and stuff. Like, I love that sort of stuff. It's so weird when you hear that on the playground when you're in elementary school and you're like, what? What? You can find missing no south of Pallet Town. What other weird myths are there? I don't know. Just stuff like that. Like, you can find Mew under a truck.
Oh yeah, Mew under a truck. And since I'm in Britain, Tekken is a stupidly big thing over here in the UK. Yeah. For some bizarre reason. So the one that kept going around our playground was, in Tekken 3, Gunjack could use a gun.
Yeah,
it's just like,
I love that.
What? Yeah, it's just like someone kept swearing. It's like, and it kept building throughout the week. It's just like he would come into class and go, "Yeah, I made Gunjack get out a pistol." It's like, no, you didn't. Does that that move? Listen, it's like, next day I got him to use an Uzi. No, you didn't.
What's beautiful though is like that some of these weird game rumors are actually true, which lends credence to the ones that aren't true. So people are just like, it could be true. I don't know. It might just be like a superstition, but
yeah,
I'm gonna goddarn try.
we had to tell a quick tangent story here. We had one of that actually happening in our playground, in which, because we had an exchange student from Korea. Right? And this was about the time in which Dragon Ball Z became really popular, right?
Yeah.
So all my friends and I was getting really into Dragon Ball Z, but like the Boo Saga hadn't come out here yet. So like when he came out and when he came over and said like, "Oh, you guys like Dragon Ball Z? Oh yeah, it's so cool. Oh, when Majin Buu comes out and like he starts turning people into chocolate," and my friends just there just going like, "What the hell are you talking about? Dragon Ball Z doesn't have a character that turns people into chocolate. That's crazy. No!" Like 2 years later, those episodes came out, and my friends was there distraught because apparently, like, some Korean, like, some Vietnamese kid
his world.
Yeah, just destroyed him. It was a glorious, glorious scene.
That stuff is beautiful. Yeah, that's kind of the essence of what I'm trying to get to. And like, I don't know. People always talk about like Fez for having those like weird secrets and stuff. And like, I don't know. In this game, I'm not trying to like diss Fez because Fez is an awesome game. But like when you get the secrets in Fez, they're like you kind of do it for the accomplishment alone, and you get those cubes or whatever, and that's nice. But like I'm trying to like do stuff in this game where if you find the secrets, stuff will change in the world like permanently, and like stuff will be weird from that point on. Just like in like Super Mario World or whatever, when you hit like secret like question mark blocks or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
I mean,
Yeah.
I think with Fez, it was a particular moment because I remember when the internet pretty much all started playing it, and it was just like, oh, it's this cute little platformer with like this really cool little aesthetic, and it's like as everyone got further on and got near to the end, and then, like people started like cluing in, it's just like actually no, this iconography on the wall actually is a language, and oh my god, it's breaking the game. I'm starting to fly. What's going on? And then like 2 months later, people are like creating these like number generating machines to basically crack the codes within
God.
it, and it's like quite clearly, because again, like another game that did this very well and actually doesn't get that much mention was Portal.
Oh yeah.
Because when Portal was about to announce, when Valve was about to announce Portal 2, they did an update for Portal in which they dropped radios in. Have you ever heard about this?
No, I've never heard about
They
that.
did an update in which they dropped radios in, and like everyone was just like, "All right, it's a radio. Oh, I got like a little like new little companion thing," and it was like it would each one will make a different noise.
Yeah.
So what people started to clue in was, it was like, right, these are all making different noises. Let's see what happens when we get all the noises together.
Oh God.
And it's like, someone eventually figured out that it's like one of those weird like Russian number generating stations. Like just like they just like keep repeating weird noises non-stop.
Oh,
And like
yeah.
they figured out the sequence, and that they figured out like it's like a weird mention of like of Ratman or Ratboy. What is it?
What? Oh yeah, Rat Man.
Yeah, of
Heard of it.
Ratman, and just like his little adventure. And it's just like, and it also said like, I think like at the end it said like, oh, by the way, we're going to announce something here, and it took like some people almost the day before they made the announcement for Portal 2 to put all this like minutia together. And it's
Yeah.
like, I think like Valve was just stood there just going like, oh, you know what, bravo. But we didn't think you'd get it. We didn't honestly think people would be that crazy. And that's,
People are nuts.
oh yeah, it's
We need. Yeah.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing
That's.
what the internet can do when it can get its ass in gear.
Yeah. Maybe that's my advice then to game developers is to just like harness the power of insanity that the internet has and use it to do weird stuff and weird exciting stuff because people will do it. People will figure shit out.
Yeah. Yeah,
for
no,
no other reason than that it is there to be
Pretty-
figured it out. Just like
pretty much.
non-evidence or whatever.
I mean, that's not saying this is something you should do in your game, but if you started doing that in your game, that'd be something special. I mean, because again, like another weird example of this is like what some albums, some like bands will do for their albums, in which they'll like
Play
just,
it backwards or whatever.
no, they'd actually like drop USBs in like a bar or in like a coffee shop, and then they'll like put out like a fake website, or like they'll like do like a quick like launch site, but they'll like put like a fake hidden page on it, and like the hidden page, if you decrypt it, will tell you the location of where the hidden LP is in like this area, and it's just like, what are people trying to do?
Yeah. I've
And
heard
if,
people doing that. Yeah.
like I say, like if your game had like some DLC in which you hid on a USB and then dropped in a bar and just said, just keep it safe, just keep it behind there, and then you dropped a website, that'd be something messed up and people would remember it.
That'd be pretty weird, but now I can't do it because people would expect
Yeah,
it
now
back.
I've said it.
So I gotta think
Damn.
of something else.
I'm pretty sure you could craft up something.
Yeah, something. I'll send like origami cranes down a river or whatever with instructions or something. It'll be in like Taiwan or like Cambodia or something
Yeah,
too.
something really elaborate.
Something really obscure, and then it'll probably just be destroyed. That's
So it's like, that's actually now more of a curious idea that you just mentioned, because you've said it's a roguelike, but it's going to have stuff that's going to affect the world.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like, will that be like in terms of like procedurally generating? Will that mean it'll be like generating like groups of like events and like stage locations together? So like the events and stages will actually be able to more or less have a change within them, or will the change be part of the random element to the game?
yeah. Right. It's still kind of up in the air what I'm gonna do with that, but I feel like some of it is going to be randomly generated, and then some of it is going to be handcrafted. So certain areas that you'll have to get to, you'll get there and you'll be like, oh, this doesn't feel like it's randomly generated. They're probably supposed to be in this place for some weird reason or whatever. So yeah, stuff like that. And I want like a lot of what I mentioned before is I want kind of a sense of progression, even when you keep getting sent back to the beginning of the tower when you die. I kind of want there to be this overarching narrative that kind of takes place.
Yeah.
Just through like dialogue exchanges with people in the tower and different world events and different like structures and stuff that'll show up in the tower. But so there will be kind of like a narrative that's progressing as you play in the background while you're doing everything, and like whether you want to tune into that and learn more about it is up to you, really. So yeah, it's kind of that.
That's actually really interesting because like you're saying like the alongside the actual roguelike elements of the game, which will be like just get to the top of the tower and like figure out, well, basically just get to the top of the tower and get out, which is what most roguelikes are often as, is just like a dungeon crawl. You seem to be like actually like putting more of a major focus on story being like actually being like randomly generated at the same time, which is actually really interesting, because I can't think of many other games. I can think of one in particular, but I can't think of many where I've actually tried doing that. And the one that I know of is what was it, Sunless Sea.
Oh, never heard of that one.
It's a roguelike, and it's more akin to basically like think of FTL.
Yeah.
But instead of having a crew in space, you have a crew on the seas, and it's Cthulhu based.
Oh, jeez.
So instead of like putting more like resource into like shields, you're putting more like emphasis on characters, because they're all freaking out because like a corpse just floated up to the top, or like a weird tentacle like just splashed out the water. And it's a really interesting game because the characters interact with each other, and that's what like dynamically shifts within it. And like it has a few permutations, but it actually has a little experiment. It's super fascinating to see. That's like cool. All your permutations happen.
But, yeah, I'll check that out. But yeah, I definitely like to do something like that. Like in that regard, I kind of want to make, like, I kind of have to make these kind of choices and decisions about like where I should place my efforts. So like basically when I was going into it, I was like, I just want to make like kind of like the simplest platformer that you can, and just try to make that as nuanced and as kind of dense as possible, like content-wise. And so I think that's a kind of unique direction to go. Instead of making this kind of broad, sweeping, free-roaming world, I kind of want to focus in on the intimate details of this relatively like small area in this small place, and just have many things happen within that place instead of having this like huge epic journey, you know?
Yeah. And from like, again, just like what you've shown, it definitely seems to be coming off that way, because it definitely seems to be giving off not only because of the character size, but of like the elements of the world you're showing off. It definitely seems to be of, this is a small enclosed space that you'll be working in, and it definitely isn't going to be as, like you say, like it isn't going to be this open world experience. It's going to be a very small, intimate, but very rewarding experience. And yeah, sorry, I kind of like that idea. Like, the idea of just like the enclosed nature of where you'd be, as you've said, like where this game will be going.
Yeah.
Like probably touching on more. I don't know if it's. I'm probably might be reading too much into this, but it's like, will it be exploring more into like personal areas of like, if you're mentioning stuff like the occult and just stuff like this, will it be sharing a bit of something of like just a bit more personality towards the character? Like, will that be something that's be explored, and like will it be actually creating more of a narrative that way, like more internal struggle?
Yeah, somewhat. We're gonna have to see where that goes. I have a bunch of ideas, and I have like pages and pages of stuff written for how I want this to go down. But it's like, I don't know. I don't want to give away too much.
Is everything is your game doc currently just a web of pages hanging off the ceiling?
It's just messed up.
That's what I'm currently envisioning, or like just like there's just napkins everywhere, and it's just like you're just flipping them over, just going like, and today's idea is, ooh, clouds. Okay.
If you picture like a serial murderer with like a bunch of like papers like glued to the wall with like red marker and like different webs and chains and like pathways, that's kind of what it's like in my brain right now. So but not for murdering purposes though.
Not for murdering purposes, but it's you like the work ethic.
Yeah, I like the chutzpah, you know?
Yeah.
They got some real ambition.
It's
determination.
It's the chutzpah. It's the intricate detail they have to each moment that I really, really like.
You know, they just
make every moment count.
Do good work.
Yeah.
Just do good work. Whatever that work may be.
So, with us talking about it's like how like your development has been more or less as we've talked about, a very like artistic experience, and something that you definitely are like having a lot of fun and a lot of like personal just growth that's like going through it and just seeing what works, what you don't like, what you can do to change, and letting like all the small things get like a good looking over. Will there like when will that point come? When will that actually tip over to an actual deadline almost? Like when will like Doko Roko the playable adventure for you like creation experience be actually turning into a more or less a real game?
A real game. Yeah. So I'm planning on launching a Kickstarter in October to actually fund the full development because I'm running out of money. I need that money to make the game full time. So at that point, I kind of want to. I'll have a solid document, and I'll kind of have the direction that I'm going be laid out in stone, kind of, and then I'll know where I'm going with it. Because I do have to start actually making the game, because there's a ton of content already that I've made, and I want it for it to start being an actual cohesive experience that you can play around in. That's my goal.
Yeah.
So October
is definitely the time in which this is more or less going to be do or die for this, and
yes.
Just gonna have a stab in the dark and say you're probably gonna make the money. I don't know, but
I hope so.
Yeah,
you never know.
You're not asking like I don't know, but I imagine you won't be asking for too much. You're a one-man team.
Unless Sony wants to give me $86 million to make it.
Of course. Or you could join Fig and get.
Oh yeah.
You could get that weird investment thing going on.
I actually talked to Rami Ismail yesterday. He was doing like a stream or whatever, and I just called in to talk to him, and he started talking about Fig. I'm kind of worried about that platform, as in like how much say are investors going to have in the product?
Almost none.
None?
Yeah, it probably doesn't word it particularly well, but like what it basically breaks down to is they're not investing in you, so they're not going to have a say on your project. What they are actually doing is investing in the potential of money you can make.
Yes.
So what Fig have actually got is like there's Fig as the Kickstarter style platform, the crowdsourcing platform, and then they have a second company business which will handle any investors that come in, and that company will basically manage the investors to the creators. So when the creators finally make their game and the money starts coming out, the money will then go from the developer to that company, and then it'll go to the investors.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that's nice that there's that middleman there. Then.
Yeah. So like as a developer for you, there is no real worry of like for like an investor to just parachute in, drop a ton of cash, and force you to make Call of Duty whatever. That's not going to happen.
That's my nightmare.
Yeah. That'd probably be more funny to see than it would be actually happen. It's just like, you, small indie developer, make me a multiplayer shooter. It's like,
I could, okay.
I barely, Java could maybe do it.
Java could, yeah.
Please work Java.
It's robust. Yeah. So what else do you know about that platform? I heard he told me it was highly curated, kind of. So there's kind of like a couple projects up at a time. Is that kind of more or less?
Yeah. So what they've come out and said is like it has a sorry, I can't really say the word. Basically, it has a bunch of judges who are industry veterans. Like I think like Tim Schafer's on the judging panel, with a few other higher ups, just like in that kind of like Pantheon area. So it's definitely they've definitely gone out of their way to get people who know about crowdsourcing and at least know about like games on that will be going for something like this type thing. It kind of reminds me of what Indiecade used to be back in like the early days of what like because Indiecade was set up by Jonathan Blow, the guys behind World of Goo and all that. And that's what they would do is they would get shown projects by like developers would pitch them projects, and they would go like, right, we're going to give you so much money as investors, and when your game hits so much, then you start paying us back, right?
Yeah.
And this went on for a couple of years, and then they've kind of walked away from doing that because like some projects just didn't work, some projects needed more money than it was actually worth, you know. But like this way around with Fig, it sounds like it's because it still has that crowdsourcing front that's still there. Like just like Kickstarter, they'll still have that function as like I think they call it as like a supporter and like funder, and then there's the actual investor part of the website.
Yeah.
And like they say, it's just like the actual platform will only have like 2 to 3 games a month.
That's
on it.
Interesting.
So like the judges will probably look at hundreds of projects.
Oh god.
Like, or maybe not. I don't know. Like maybe they'll have a opening section. I don't know what it is. Like a Dropbox account that gets filled up, or maybe they'll just see projects out in the wild and go like drop a business card just saying like, hey, you might want to send me an email with a demo, and I'll show my mates, and then
maybe I'll pitch to them then.
Yeah. But it seems like they're giving this the right level of care on some side, but it's like what this investor part is going to do does sound interesting and does sound safe for the developer and probably safe for everybody else. And like they've also said like in the future they're trying to aim for everyone to get a cut, which is just like, okay, but what does that mean?
Oh jeez. You mean like in a way where like it would be like Kickstarter, but everyone gets a cut of the money or something?
Something like that. But that would
be strange, but really
but that's
cool.
where like this podcast about talking about video games turns into business, and I would have to leave, and like, probably you would have to leave, and then we'd have to get in 2 other people to actually talk business, because I don't know anything about like investors or like rates and stuff. I've kept away from that for most part. So, but like Fig's definitely out there, and like and all that. But it's like, have you considered other avenues, or is Kickstarter the one you be digging for?
Yeah, I'd like to do Kickstarter, but I'm also going to be pitching to some publishers once I have all like the trailer and a small demo ready. So that might be my other avenue. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's plenty out there now. I mean, like, it was only like early last year that everyone thought it was just like Devolver was the only people in this indie space just devouring everything that was like indie and like slick, because that's what Devolver tend to like gravitate towards. If it's like slick and cool, they'll tend to like pick it up.
Yeah, that's their style.
Yeah, and
brand.
I mean, to be fair, just make sure that your game has amazing trance music. You probably end up on Devolver.
Yeah, I don't know about that for this one. Maybe if I'm desperate, I'll start putting in trance music in the game.
Just have it as like a sub option, you know, like just like next to like subtitles and like your gradient. It's just like music trance.
There'll be like 100 menus that you have to sift through, and then you like turn on trance music.
Yeah. But like. And like now there's a lot more, because like even like Double Fine have got into publishing now.
Oh yeah.
And there's a few within like Britain that are like Team 17 have started, the people behind Worms.
Worms.
Yes, remember Worms?
That's a darn good time.
Yeah, apparently they lived for the past 20 years making Worms, and you know what? They don't know. Well, I went to their studio and I asked them, it's just like, how do you guys carry on? It's just like, look, there was a time that we didn't even understand, but we made it. And now they've picked up, like, now they're like one of the biggest indie publishers in Britain.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Good for them.
They've picked up so many, and it's like the biggest one they just picked up was the Ukulele Project.
Yeah.
The Banjo-Kazooie thing, they've just picked that up for publishing rights.
Wow.
So that's good. That's gonna be crazy to see, and you know, maybe if you open up an address in Britain, maybe you can get on the Team 17 train.
Yeah, maybe I'll just do that.
Yeah,
I'll just move over there. Yeah, I'll just do whatever.
Yeah. Whereas like with like the Kickstarter, with like you looking for funding in the near future, like that'll probably lead to an area in which like demoing will become an option, and like probably getting into like the convention scene. Is that something like you've actually equated for? Just out of interest, because like that's always something I find interesting, is like the parts of like getting ready for Kickstarter, like funding wise, in which like you have to start actually planning for like, do I go to events? How much is going to events going to cost? Type thing. Like, is that something that's crossed your mind?
Yeah, I've thought about it a lot. It's like, it's interesting. Like, I want to make a demo for the game, and I want to have it be played by other people. But I just feel like for what I'm hoping for, like the experience is hopefully going to be as nuanced and in depth, in that it'll take a really long time to get like to like the very like good parts, or what I'm calling like the good parts of the game. So people are going to get like a very like surface level interaction with the game if I was to make a demo, and that's all right, and they would get like a good taste of it. So yeah, I'd like to start doing that and planning for a demo and planning for events and stuff. And like once I have money, I can kind of plan a little bit further ahead with what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing this demo, and I don't know where I'll see it, but I'll make sure I'll see it. I'll find ways.
Yeah, definitely.
I say this suspiciously, but there's many avenues in which you can, because it's always something I find interesting. Like when I talk to, when I talk to like American developers, it's like, oh, you're gonna have a demo, gonna have a demo over in Britain. It's just like, no, you can't afford it. It's like, oh, but you could like ask the like show people to show it, in the space that they have, like, because like they, like there's options for you, which is stuff like, like what Indiecade is, because you can like submit to them, and like the Mega Indie booth at PAX.
Oh yeah, and the developers aren't there, but the game is actually there.
Yeah, like just stuff like that, and I just got to imagine that maybe that just doesn't happen over here, and I feel like ashamed if it doesn't, because like we're missing out on some like prime stuff.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like America and like the indie scene is like just growing out of control. Like all these small little projects are coming out, like yours. Like we've said before, it's just like yours, Megasphere, and a bunch of others starting to like just grow out. And it's I keep like seeing it's like, oh, when am I gonna get a taste of it? It's just like, oh, not until it comes out. Oh no.
I'll send you a personal copy, Alistair.
Oh, cheers.
That's what I'll do. But it'll be the Alistair version though.
Yeah,
so it'll be trance music. It'll be like it'll be the one that I pitched to Devolver. So it'll just be trance music and
yes, and it'll rain Jaffa cakes.
Yeah, Jaffa cakes.
Oh, and one of the final things I want to just quickly talk about is like. Seeing all the stuff that you've got going on, it definitely seems like you're not only like making this game, but you've also, because I see that you regularly draw and you obviously you post that stuff, and it's fascinating to see like you're using other avenues as like actual drawing, just being creative and like making music and just expressing yourself in all different forms of avenues. Is that just something that you feel like you've naturally always done, or is it just what you feel like is just great exposure? I mean,
yeah, I guess I've just been always doing it, and like since I was a kid, I've been drawing, and then like kind of recently, I've been making like in high school. I guess I made like a lot of like weird electronic music that was like really awful and like really weird, like slowing down Beyonce songs like 500%, and then like just awful weird shit that no one should ever do. But I was having fun, and that's like the biggest part of it for me is like, how much fun can I have making this thing? And kind of like, I've kind of come to the conclusion that video games are the best medium because they encompass like every other medium that I want to get involved with. Like it's art, it's animation, it's sound, it's music, it's everything. And it's in like programming. Like I've just started like programming like maybe like 3 years ago is when I started. And I've actually only like been making this game and like learning programming for like a year now, like actually like learning video games. Like it was awful when it first started. So
yeah, I heard it was originally called, what was it, like Grumpy Climbers?
Yeah, I called it Grumpy Climbers, and it was like this physics like you would control these two grumpy climbers, and you would be climbing this mountain, and there would be this tether between you two, and you would control both at the same time. And it was just so frustrating and stupid that I was just like, oh man, maybe you can shoot bullets in this game or whatever. Maybe you can swing a sword. And then it became like 200 times better, and it started turning into this really weird project that I got really into, and just like the weird intricacies of what this world could look like, and like how much control you have over this space. Like it's like I said in the interview that we recorded before, but like oh goddamn, what was I gonna say? But like okay, what I was gonna say is that like on Tumblr you can be scrolling through a bunch of images or whatever, like a bunch of like cool art, and it can be the coolest piece of art ever, but you're gonna look at it for like 5 or 10 seconds, and then that experience is over because it's just like a still image. And I get this like crushing existential despair when I see these really cool pieces of concept art, and you're like, man, I want to go to this world. I want to like experience this. I wish I could go there for longer and stay there longer and just see what that place is about. But they've only given you this taste of this world. And with video games, you can kind of get people indulged in kind of immersed in your world for a longer period of time. You can kind of control their attention if you know what you're doing. And so you can kind of start to talk about more nuanced ideas, and you can kind of play with weird mechanics and get them immersed in like these just like really weird ways that you can't do with art or music or just like, I don't know, like applications or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
And talking about like just weird ideas and mechanics and just creating new experiences. Is like doing like game jams like something that you do? Is it something that you've done, or is it something that you'll be like wanting to do in the future?
Yeah, I've only done one game jam so far, like a few months ago at this thing called the Purple Monkey Game Jam in Boston, and we made a project and we didn't finish it, so it's not out anywhere. But it was called like I don't know what it was called. It was called Neon Children or something, and it was like this like 4-player co-op game where you could all the theme of the jam was by our forces combined or whatever, like a Captain Planet or something, and so like you could all get together and form this like huge Megazord Voltron kind of guy, and you'd be like ultra powerful and whatever, but like your movement would be controlled by everyone, so it was kind of like hard to move around.
Yeah.
It was weird, but it was a good time, and I definitely like to do smaller game jams after working on this project for like a year, because it just like, I don't know, there's so many ideas that I have that I want to do that just can't be done in this project. Like they just don't fit like the theme or the atmosphere or whatever. So yeah, I'd love to do a bunch more game jams and just kind of work on smaller ideas that I have.
Yeah. Like game jams definitely seem to be like the new like growing space for like just developers to actually just stretch out, just like, you know, like, oh, I've been making this thing for so long, but I would have really want to make, like, I've been making this shooter, but I really want to make a dating sim, and they'll just make that dating sim in like 2 days. It's like, oh, it's out of my system, it's all there. Oh,
Yeah.
now I can go back to my shooter with fresh eyes, and maybe I'll put in like, you know, some weird dating sim aspect into it or something.
Yeah.
It's more fascinating to see like the gems of an idea in game jams that grow into like fully fledged games later. That's the thing I always find most appealing about them. And I've been
That's awesome.
I've been to a few in the past, which has been truly weird experiences. I don't know how like, well, so like the game jam you did, like what was the actual parameters? Was it like how long was it, and like were you like bound there and stuff like that? Or was it...
So it was kind of like a weird non-traditional one, but it was less than 48 hours. It was something like 36 hours long, and so we like met at this place for a while, but then we all had to leave at like 9 o'clock or something. So then we all like went to bed or whatever, and then we got there in the morning and we tried to work on it more. And that's basically why we didn't finish it, is because we didn't stay up all night and we didn't do it all nighter or whatever and actually like bang something out. But yeah, so I think I'd like to do more of a game jam in that respect, where it was like 48 hours long and you got to like hang out in the same space with those people for those 48 hours, because it kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of like disorganized in a way. And I felt like I had way too many people on my team. No offense to anyone that was on my team.
Well, to be fair, you are currently a one-man project, so I don't know, having another person could be a too much team for you. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, but there was like 6 people on our team, so it was like kind of ridiculous.
Maybe you got justification if there's 6.
Yeah, and it was like way over ambitious in what we wanted to do, and so I would just like, now I know going ahead that I just want to like pull out like the simplest game mechanic I can, get that nailed down, and then kind of build off there and try to make that as cool as possible, you know, as like tight as an experience as possible.
Yeah, that sounds really cool, and that sounds like what game jams are all about, you know, just creating small, intimate, like just like I just want to focus on this small aspect over 2 days. Currently, what you're doing right now, you know, just focusing on small fires and just make it happen over 2 days.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm just kind of like jamming, and then it all kind of like fits together. Yeah. Or I kind of all just like cram it all together, and it'll be this cool thing.
You're currently working on 100, you know, just 20 game jams at once, and it's like, oh look, just look at it there in the right angle. And you're like,
it's kind of what it's like, actually.
Yeah. With your like web of ideas, it's like, you know, if you just like you know, like Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, just like turn it right. Oh, look, it lines up. There's a game. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. I'll take a picture and put it on, you know, put it on Kickstarter before the sun changes.
Yeah, that's it. That's what's happening.
Yeah. So a final question, because I've just realized we've been talking for way longer than we did last time.
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
I told you it'd be a better interview.
Yeah, I didn't believe you, man. I didn't believe you. But just very very quickly, just like so, with you on Twitter and all that, it's just like who else has been inspiring you? Who else has been like next to you developing, and like who have you been seeing that as you've been putting out content, when you see them put out content, you're like, that's burning my fires. That's making like that's been catching your eye.
Yeah, so I like we've name dropped like Megasphere like 20 times on this.
Oh
so,
yeah.
Screw that guy. But no, actually his stuff is really sweet. I like his stuff. You should check that out. Among the Woods, definitely. He's on Twitter a lot. He's making this kind of procedurally generated roguelike top-down shooter. That's pretty sick. Oh god, I have another one in my mind. The game Charge Shot by Cowboy Color.
Yeah.
It's team Britt Brady and Cullen.
I checked that out because of you. Yeah, I checked that out, actually.
Cullen Dwyer. It looks like a frenetic couch multiplayer experience.
Yeah.
So that looks like a good time that I'd want to check out and play sometime. Oh god, there was like an you should just look out for oh god, wait, Chelsea Saunders. She's like Pixelated Crown. She's making a bunch of cool 3D models.
Right.
And I'm gonna say Trudy Castle. She's making these cool animations, or not animations. She's making these cool illustrations. She's really good at colors. Yep, those are all my plugs.
All right, cool. So yeah, that's pretty much. I'm gonna call it end to this because I've had such a great time talking to you. So yeah, just go away and just plug everything you need to now. So,
okay, so you can find me at Doko Roko Game on Twitter. My personal Twitter is at Eric Mack, and then my website is okoboogames.com. That's OKOBU games.com. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and my Tumblr is dokorokogames.tumblr.com. But I don't post that much on that one, so yeah, check out the Twitter instead.
All right, that's fantastic. And I've been Alistair from Huge Update. Thank you so much for giving this a second interview. Thank you for listening and all that wonderful stuff. And thank you so much, Eric. I hope to see you in the future, and definitely will look forward to October for the Kickstarter campaign to get started.
Yeah, get hyped.
Yep. All right, see you later, man. Bye.
See you, man. Thank you.